Hello, friends. In this session, I will explain and I will show you how to develop and execute a Spring Core application using Maven in Eclipse environment. Now we will see this is my Eclipse environment. So first of all, I will create a Maven project, file, new Maven project, put a tick mark here and click on next button. Here some information that I have to fill. So group id, suppose I will give, suppose com.spring. So group id, this attribute uniquely representing our Spring Core application. Artifact id, whatever you can give the name. This is project name. Let my project name is Spring Core, and this is jar. Yes. So then click on finish button. So after putting information on a group id, artifact id, then click on finish button. So you see one Maven project created. You see in project explorer were one Maven project created. Just I will open the project structure. You see there is a folder src main java, then src main resources, so many folders that it is displaying. And you see the most important file, that is pum.xml file. So this file now I will open. So this file is important because this file, what in this file we will put some dependencies. So basically two dependency I will add. One is a Spring Core dependency and another is Spring Context dependency. So dependency is nothing but a developed module. So when that dependency I will add in pum.xml file, so that will help to execute our Spring Core application. So the question is how I will get that dependency. Simply directly I will go to Google and just I will type Spring for Spring Core in Maven dependency, Spring Core in Maven. You see, so when I typed Spring Core in Maven, you see there is a repository and there is a site, you can say mbnrepository.com, and you will open that site. You see, so a Spring Core dependencies here we can get, and there are so many versions. So I can choose any version, there is no problem. So 5 point, suppose I feel I will go to 5 version. So you can either depend upon you that you can choose 5.00 or 5 point whatever 5.0.10, suppose. Okay, so you see this is the dependencies. So no doubt dependency, it is nothing but one developed module. So particularly you see group id org.spring framework, artifact id means project name is Spring Core. So particularly this dependencies that we will get in mvnrepository.com, and this dependencies now I will copy and I will go to my Eclipse environment. So I will add. So first of all, so I will put dependencies begin and dependencies end. So within this, I will put, you see, so in which way that I am adding. So one dependency is particularly Spring Core dependency I added. Spring Core dependencies I added. So where I am adding, so dependencies begin. There is a tag dependencies and there is a end tag dependencies, last dependencies. This is very important point because pom.xml file that we have to develop in this way. So it is a such XML file which is containing some dependencies. So some helper components. So for or these dependencies will help to execute our Spring Core applications, development and execution of our Spring Core application. Then you guys remember, so two dependencies that we will require particularly for a Spring Core application development. So one is Spring Core dependencies. Now that I added, so I will go to next dependencies. Again, I will go to this site and you see there is a search option, and if you type Spring context. So if I'm typing Spring context, so yes, Spring context dependencies. So came to our picture and you see, so particularly which version 5.0.10. So this version, so again I will choose in Spring context. So Spring context I will go to 5.0.10, 5.0.10, and you see, so this dependency, so I will copy, then I will go to Eclipse environment. So again I will add here. Okay, so then Control S. So again another dependency I added. You see, this is my pom.xml file. So this is a better approach which to develop and execute a Spring Core application. So pom.xml file in this way that I developed, and in this file, so I added two dependencies. One is a Spring Core dependency and one is Spring Context dependency. Okay, so now we will start. So the entire Spring Core module, so consisting of what three steps. If I will develop an application, that application development consisting three steps. So basically, I am saying about dependency injection. Especially, we will discuss about particularly in this example. I am going to show you sector injection in the form of primitive value. I will show you and I will explain what exactly sector injection is and how to develop an application, so using this concept dependency injection, it is nothing but a design pattern that we will follow, and where particularly in this context a class what a object explicitly we are not creating some external resource, but that means here that external resource is Spring framework, Spring container we can say. So that Spring framework is providing an object, and whatever the object we are depending on which object, so that object Spring framework is providing, we will see. So first of all, we will create a bin. So step number one, we will create a Java bin. Java bin is a class where the data members must be private and containing getter and setter method. So how we will develop a Java bin? So you go to src main Java, right click. So I will create a new class. So let my package name is suppose dot Ceylon, and suppose I will create a bin. Let my bin name is student.java. So student is my class name. Then I will click on finish. So now I will create a Java bin. Okay, so in Java bin, So data member must be private. Let private int a registration number. Let student a registration number. Then private let string a name. Suppose student name. Student name. So let it this to property I will give. So let student is a class containing two variable we can set to property. One is student registration number and one is student name. Then as per the bin definition containing private data members and containing getter and setter method. So how I will represent getter and setter method? I will go to source option, then you see generate getters and setters. I will select, then click on generate option. So you see in this way that we presented getter and setter method by taking student registration number, get student registration number. Getter means getting information, setter means setting information. Set student registration number. Similarly, get student name method, and this is set student name method defining. Now I will write a business logic. One method, suppose I will define public void let show method. Now I want to see the student registration number and student name. Suppose I will write one output statement system dot out dot println system dot out dot println. Suppose I will write registration number is let the value of registration number student registration number. Similarly, I will write another output statement system dot out dot println. Similarly, I can write name is so student name. So in this way, what a method I defined, so that method name is so method. Okay, so based on two output statement, registration number is the value of student registration number. Similarly, name is the value of student name. It will display. So method I defined in student class. So definitely when a so method definition will execute, so method definition when it will execute, when so method will invoke by the object, particularly by the student object. So we will depend on student object. That means we can say we need to get student object, but that student object explicitly we are not writing. Explicitly we are not creating student name object name equals to new student. No, this type of object declaration here, particularly in this context, we will not declare. So that student object we will see. So Spring framework will provide, Spring container will inject. So that's why the term dependency injection is coming to our picture. So we are depending on student object. So that student object Spring framework will inject. Spring container will inject. Now, guys, this is my step number one. Then we will go to step number two. Now, step number two, we will create a XML file. Basically, that XML file is called as configuration file. So what is the purpose of configuration file? That also I will explain. And that XML file is containing what? So XML file purpose is whatever we have the property. So here we have the properties student registration number and student name. So that properties value I will assign in XML file, and the bin how this bin, our bin is student.java. So how this bin is uniquely identifying by specifying an id value, that also we will specify explicitly in our xml file. No, so now we will go to develop an xml file, right click on src main java, so new, then I will go to other, and if you will type xml, you see, so xml file is coming to our picture. Then click on next button. Suppose I will write config, so let my xml file name is config.xml file. Click on finish button. You see, so one xml file created, so we have to develop. So here uh, some namespace that we will provide. So first of all, I will go to Google. So if I will go to Google and just type Spring 5 documentation. Okay, so what I'm typing, so Spring 5 documentation. Okay, so if you will go to Spring 5 documentation, okay, if you will go to that first link and go to the what particularly, you go to third 3 points. Okay, so configuration, you go to this point, you see. So what I did in Google, I typed Spring 5 documentation. One PDF file is coming to our picture, and in the PDF file, go to 3 point, number 3 point, and you see. So this part you have to copy. This is called as namespace. One thing that you can do, you do the copy and paste in a file, maybe in a notepad. You can what keep this file, because entire spring core application, so this point we will require. Now I copied, then I will go to eclipse environment and I will paste here. Okay, so now this is what there is an attribute bins begin and bins end. Okay, in this way that we can do the copy, and also it will be better what, so I have created so here I have what already I have saved in a notepad, so we can do that also. Here you can, I can do those same things, so it will be better. So that part you will copy and you will paste here. Okay, so this is a common. This part is common. Basically, this is called as our namespace. So particularly this namespace, you see. So directly we here we it have specified www.springframework.org. So it particularly it have developed for Spring Framework. Okay, so it is basically it is called as namespace actually internally. So it is working like a parser. So now you remember how to develop XML file. So there is a tag bins and there is a tag end bins. So then inside bins tag, suppose if I will consider bins is my main attribute, bins begin and bins end, then I will put bin begin a sub attribute. I will put so bin end. Okay, so bin id equals to one id value that I have to give. So that id value is representing uniquely our bin. Our bin is student.java. Whatever you can write, id one, suppose I will write. So class equals to, so we have to specify explicitly what is our class name. So always class we will specify how package name com.ceylon dot class name. So this is my what bin. So we can say a bin is a sub attribute. Bins is the main attribute we can consider in this way. Then inside a bin there is another sub attribute property. So property name equals to So first property is student name, student registration number. So in this way that I can write, so I can put the value equals to 101. In this way I will give a slash for it is ending. So if I will give slash, otherwise I will end slash property tag. So now we have two property. Now I will do copy. Now I will paste here. So another property is student name. So let value. So whatever you will write. Suppose I will write John Day. So any name. Suppose I can write Control S. It I saved. So guys, this is my XML file. Basically, this XML file is called as what? Configuration file. So what the configuration file is containing? So whatever we have the property in student.java, property one is student registration number and one is student name. So this two property, for this two property we assigned two value. For registration number 101 and for name we provided the value John Day. Apart that, we are provided an ID value for uniquely identifying our bin, and also explicitly I specified my class name. Now, step number two completed. Then we will go to step number three. So that is nothing but a client logic file. So we will represent Spring framework, or we will represent Spring container, and this XML file whatever we developed. So this XML file, so we will hand over to Spring container. We will hand over to Spring container. So now I will go to develop that file. So again, it is nothing but a simply .java file, but in this .java file, we have to specify main method. So right click on the package. So I will create new class. So I will create a new class. Okay. So let it package name is com.silan. Okay. So let it class name is suppose Spring Core Example 1. Spring Core Example 1. Then I will select the main method. Then I will click on finish button. You see, so this file we can say of my client logic file. So here we will specify the Spring container and the XML file we will provide. So first of all, I will write which uh, is what particularly which terminology representing a Spring container that you have to remember. So let application context, let my object name is context. Application context is a built-in interface. Okay, so here you see guys, so when I will bring my cursor to here, then automatically import option is coming to the picture. So I will click here. So now, so red color cross mark avoided. So application context is an interface coming from org.springframework.context package. So that's why this application context I imported. Now, so this application context object, how explicitly that I will get, and when I am explicitly getting an application context object, so at that time we will hand over our configuration file, that is config.xml file. So I can write context equals to my object name, context equals to new. So there is an implementation class of application context. So that's the new class name. So the class name is class path XML, class path XML application context. So this is a built-in class name within brackets within double quote. I will write config.xml file. So you see, so now I will import this file, this class. So you see, this is very important. First of all, you have to understand. So application context is an interface. Class path XML application context is an implementation class of application context. So in this way that you remember new class name, then it is returning application context objects. So when we are declaring application context object, then within bracket we are specifying the XML file, particularly that XML file is called as configuration file. Or we can say in this way that we handed over our configuration file to Spring container. Application context we can say it is a Spring container. Now I will call a method that is getWin method, context.getWin method. This is a such method which is coming from application context interface. That's why it is invoking by application context object, and within bracket what I will specify id value. So you see in in config.xml file. So what for uniquely representing our bin, what the id value I have written, same particular that id value I will write here. So when getWin method is invoking by context object, actually it is returning an what object class object. It is a very important point that guys you have to remember. Again, I am repeating when getWin method is invoking by application context object here. That object name is context. So it is returning object class object. But we are requiring student class object because in student.java we have a method, so method. So that is our business logic. So method I have to call by the student object. So I can, since it is returning object class object, I can convert that object class object into student object. How? So student, let my object name is student. So by typecasting, I will specify the target type. So my target type is students. So once I will get a student object, then happily I can write student.show method. Okay, control S. So this is my client logic file. So first line is representing what? A configuration file, that is config.xml file I handed over to Spring container. So here, which is what? Presenting a Spring container application context. Application context, strictly speaking, application context is an interface. Explicitly we are getting application context object. How we are getting application context object? New, there is a what implementation class of application context interface. So that is new class path xml application context, then it is returning application context object. Then one getWin method I am invoking by the context object, but strictly speaking you remember getWin method always returning an object class object. So we now here what I did, I converted, okay, or I did typecasting, I did type conversion. So that object class object to student object, because I am requiring student object. Okay, so once I will get a student object, then happily so I can write student.show method. So when this line will execute, so here show method definition will execute. Now this is my what small what dependency injection what application. You see, when get bin method is invoking, when this line is creating internally Spring framework creating student class object, and after creating student class object, setter method is invoking, because setter method means setting information, the value 101 or name John Day. So that information is setting by setter method. So again I am repeating, internally or at the runtime, what the Spring framework is doing. So when getWin method is invoking internally, so student object is creating, then student dot setter method, so that is invoking at the runtime internally Spring framework is doing. So hence it is representing setter injection. Since the value 101 John they, so this is basically primitive value. So that's why this example is what? Setter injection in the form of primitive value. So now I will run. So now this is my program. Now I will run. Run is very simple. I will run. So so happily we got the output. Happily we got the output. Registration number is 101. Name is John. So I hope everybody got clarity. So I can what explain what I can design our Java bin. So by adding what zero arg constructor or and parameterized constructor also. You see in just our Java bin I'm changing. So business logic so method. Suppose there is no need right here. Just I'm giving the comment. Okay, so what I am doing, you see what I am doing. So now I will go to source option, and I will create, I will represent a zero arg constructor. Okay, so this is generate constructors from super class. Okay, so now I will click on generate. You see zero arg constructor created or default constructor created. Similarly, I can create parameterized constructor, generate constructor using fields. Click on generate option. You see parameterized constructor also I am creating. So I can create toString method source, and you see generate toString. So click on generate. So you see, so toString, and it is an overridden method. So as per the toString method definition, what toString method definition is saying, return within double quotes. So whatever it have written accordingly, it will display in the form of output. Student registration number equals this. So we know. So what I did, constructor, one zero arg constructor, one parameterized constructor. So this is my parameterized constructor. This is zero arg constructor. I defined, I presented. Apart that, toString method also I defined, I presented. So it is very simple. Directly you will go to source, and there are options: generate toString methods, generate getters and setters, generate constructor using fields, generate constructors from super class. So everything is here. Okay. So now I will go through my Spring example 1.java. So now this part I am giving the comment. So directly I will write because I have to write an output statement here. System.out.println. So if I will write, my object name is student. So we know that when an object is creating, so the constructor executing automatically, and you see now I will hit run. Now I will hit run. So okay, now I will hit run. Before that I will save. Now I will hit run. You see, so toString method definition executed. So based on the toString method definition, student registration number equals to 101. student name equals to Zonde. So two in two ways that I explained, that it depend upon you in which way that you can develop. Directly, explicitly, you can write a small method as a business logic. Then you will get student object in our client logic file, then to object name dot method name. Otherwise constructor you represent you present, and one toString method you define. So toString method definition, according to toString method definition, your output is coming to the picture, in which way that toString method body is what it is displaying. So accordingly that output will come to our picture. So here a toString method definition is saying what? Student within bracket, student registration number equals to 101, then student name equals to the value of student name, that is Zonde. So guys, this is a clear explanation that I provided. So it is an example of dependency injection, especially sector injection in the form of primitive value. So this is my bin. This first of all, again I'm repeating, this is my pom.xml file. In pom.xml file, two dependency we have to add. One is Spring Core dependency and one is Spring Context dependency. Then step number one, we are creating a Java bin. Here student.java is our Java bin. Step number two, we are creating a XML file. This XML file is called as configuration file. Then step number three, we have to develop a client logic file, and particularly in this .java file, what we will specify our main method. So we will specify our Spring container, and here Spring container is application context interface. So we got application context object, then getWin method we are invoking by context object. Then we did type conversion, that is from object class object to student class object. So here student object we got. So student object, the Spring framework, the Spring container injected. So in this way that we developed Spring Core application. This is an example of sector injection in the form of primitive values. So I hope everybody got clarity.